8th of December 2023. This is one of that Warrafak moments. And the title of the thing is Zuma was dangerous. Now, the moment that I say that, there's a lot of people that's going to jump up and cheer, yeah, you're right. But listen carefully. Dangerous to nobody that has got any intelligent idea of what's going on in the global politics will be able to deny Zuma has got a good relationship with the Kremlin. That is one of the reasons why XXX loathes him. Now, I am confident and convinced that that relationship with the Kremlin allowed Zuma to get advice and information from the Kremlin. And if I say Kremlin, I mean Putin also. And those years already, Putin has had his plans in place for how he's going to deal with XXX. Because you must understand, XXX wanted to take Russia as well and destroy Russia. Putin understands XXX. And he knew what XXX could do to South Africa. And he also understood the danger of getting the state assets into the hands of the oligarchs in South Africa. And I'm sure Putin advised Zuma that the electricity grid and the electricity generation system is a vital life and death asset for South Africa. And at that stage it was still fairly solidly in the hands of the government. But there were plans already at that stage to get Eskom into their claws. And Zuma proposed and signed that nuclear deal with Russia. Fuck! And the media and public opinion went bananas. And the most popular thing that they were fucking pleading was that that nuclear station is too expensive, we can't afford it. Now, I'm not going to use any fucking numbers because that will just open the gates for a lot of fucking arguments. We know, and I agree, it was a very expensive option that Zuma went for. And obviously the greenies were on top of him and all of that cuck, and they were talking about the danger of nuclear and all that shit. But these people that are fighting against nuclear, they're fighting with facts that's 5 generations old. The new generation, the latest generation nuclear plants is miles away from, for instance, Koeberg. But in any case, let's stick to this fuck up that is now happening in South Africa. Now you must listen very carefully. There has been an article published during the week of how cuck Koeberg is actually. But what you have to understand, the money that Cyril and his gang has already sucked out of the world for the so-called green plan is way fucking more than Zuma's nuclear plant. Way more. And still there's nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. All just talk. I'm sitting here now as I'm talking to you in the fucking middle of a Bliksemse load shedding session. My comms and connectivity is up to shit and all of that. But I have to live with it. But okay, fuck that. But this article that was published about how bad the Koeberg dome is and all that cuck. Now let me just give you some engineering fucking facts. It is a given. Concrete slabs crack. It's a fucking given. It's a well-known fucking fact. That is why you see decent concrete work always contain fucking decent steel work. Because it is that steel that holds the concrete together. Think for yourself. What is concrete? Stone and cement and sand mixed in some fucking proportion, depending on what you want to achieve. But look at stone and look at sand. It's not solid shit. The cement is the glue and the thing that makes it possible to form that. But that's it. Each individual component in that concrete mix, they don't stick together. So if you put down concrete, it cracks. If it's done badly and badly designed, it makes Morse cracks. If it is standard good concrete work, it makes hairline cracks all the way. That is why if you build a cement dam, you cannot but use a sealer. Otherwise the fucking thing will leak. Will leak like a bloody sieve. You need a sealer. Okay. So now they tell you Koeberg's dome is cracking, which is total cuck. Because the reason why there's now this, let's call it flank attack on Koeberg, is because if you take Koeberg out, there's 2,000 megawatt space on the grid. Think about that. Why is it important? Because these fuckers with their solar panels and propellers, they need space on the grid and there is no space. For Cyril's green plan to work, they need to fucking get that green shit onto the grid. And there's no capacity on the grid to take it. Now that's why they're talking about building this fucking really expensive expansion of the national grid and all that cock. It's all bullshit. But Koeberg is real. Take Koeberg out of the equation and immediately there's 2,000 megawatt space on the grid. For the propellers and the solar panels. So, we are being played. That's what's happening. We're being played. For Cyril's green plan. In other words, for Triple X's green plan. And it is all part and parcel of Cyril's plan to get Eskom into the hands of the oligarchs. Because once he can do that, he can collapse South Africa the same way the USSR collapsed. The USSR collapsed and a lot of the republics left. And that is exactly what Triple X wanted. And internally, crime syndicates, financed by the oligarchs, that managed to get their claws onto all the important state assets. They were running the show. Now look at South Africa. Look at South Africa. How many crime syndicates is already fucking active in public life? Think. Taxis, buses, road transport, Eskom, in Eskom itself, at the Department of Homeland Affairs, Internal Affairs, everywhere. Everywhere there is crime syndicates. If I need an ID very fucking urgently, I just need to contact the right guy, pay some bucks, and I'll have my ID card tonight. Go to Home Affairs, I'm going to wait fucking 3 to 6 months. That is the realities. That is it. So, this Cyril and his cabal has already set the stage correctly for the criminal gangs that must take control. Those criminal gangs are mostly, they're in play at the harbours, they're in play, they're in play everywhere. The last thing that he needs to do is to get the Eskom, the most important portions of Eskom, into the hands of the oligarchs. And Zuma was aware of all of this and he tried to block it, and his first block was that nuclear plant. Incidentally, if the nuclear plant was given the go-ahead when Zuma signed the contract, 2 of the reactors would have been in operation already, and the 3rd one would have come online now, any time now. So none of this load shedding would have been there, nothing. And if you go look back to Zuma's speeches, he said load shedding must go, because he understood that is how Triple X and their minions in the form of Ramaphosa and his weakness, infected, gutless fuckers without integrity, were planning it. And you must go and look how much stake has Ramaphosa got in the green shit. And his brother-in-law is basically running the show with Anton Rupert and that. So Zuma knew about these things, and he knew the dangers that were coming. He understood the dangers that were coming. And the nuclear plant that he signed for was one of the major components needed to fight off the grip of Triple X. Think about it. They have now fucked us so with the load shedding that if there's tomorrow a solution placed on the table that includes the sale of Eskom with the promise that load shedding will be gone, bulk of the public will approve of it and let it go. And that's the end for us. That's the end of the Republic. Because then the next stage is collapse of the government, balkanization, and the criminal gangs that is in employment of Triple X will rule all these small portions. That is the reality. But people look and they read a fucking article like the one that was published on how shit Koeberg is, and they run with it. And they don't think about that 2000 megawatt grid space that will become available if Koeberg can be shut down. They don't think about that. They don't understand that Cyril's green monsters need that grid space urgently. So, next time you want to rant about Zuma, think carefully. He knew more than what you know. And he was informed and guided by Putin. And look at the success of Russia today. That tells you Putin's plan's working. But we are being manipulated, saturated, and dominated with MSM narratives. MSM that belongs to Triple X, wholly. So, Zuma was aware of the dangers. And he was also considering it seriously to nationalize a number of major Triple X assets. That is why he had to go. That is why. But okay, it happened, it's over, it's done, we are sitting with what we have today. All I can do is give you the information and tell you how I see it, and then you must think for yourself. How it's going to be resolved, I don't have a fucking clue. I've got absolute zero political ambition, fuck all. I'm just here to tell you what the hell is cooking and to open your eyes. But the fact of the matter is, we are in deep shit. There's one thing that I think was stupid of Zuma, but I know why he did it. If he didn't do it, he wouldn't have gotten into the presidency. He had to do it, and that is, he split the Zulu nation and took a big portion of the Zulus into the ANC kraal. And we know that ANC kraal is a fucking dangerous kraal, because that kraal has got zero respect for tribes. That kraal has got zero respect for you, the people's personal rights and your personal protection and your personal needs. Fuck all. That's a structure that was set up to protect Triple X. So, and then Zuma left, and he basically abandoned a lot of Zulus inside that ANC kraal. And all I'm going to say to the Zulus is, you must open your eyes, read history, see what happened to Pieter Tief at Dingaanstad. That is what's going to happen to you in the ANC kraal. Same thing. You're going to get wiped out there. So your option is, wait for your wipeout or go back and find your tribe. That is a decision that you yourself must make. And if you make the wrong choice, your children will pay for it, and many of you will not have children. So, be aware. Times are changing fast. All of us in South Africa need to prepare ourselves mentally for the unavoidable total collapse of the government structure of the Republic of South Africa. All these guys that want the Cape to secede and want independence for a fucking piece of Griqualand and all that. Guys, your wishes are going to come true without any of your shit that you are doing. Because the central government is going to collapse and the country is going to be balkanized. The question is going to be, will the tribes be ready? Will the tribes be ready to grab their pieces when the fucking story falls apart? Will the tribes be organized enough to claim their pieces and take their pieces and protect their pieces? Because I'm telling you now, the plan is for all those pieces to be governed by criminal gangs. Don't forget that. Please give me a like, subscribe, and share the thing. It is important that you share. Thank you.